Welcome to the Tribe Has Spoken podcast. Our mission is to empower and equip leaders with the tools and information they need to grow along their leadership pathway and to not only transformational, but transcending leaders. With over 20 years of experience, Tribe coaches hope we can help you grow yourself and your people into servant leaders that impact the lives of others. In part 1 of episode 1, we began a discussion concerning the 3 most vital components of a leader's psyche and character necessary to transform them into a mental monster capable of leading others through any adversity because of their preparation, perspiration, and inspiration. We'll pick that conversation back up today, and we're so happy you joined us again. Now get your notes ready, and let's grow together.
Get us too far away from our topic so we can circle back to it. But I even create scenarios. I don't pick a captain directly after an interview. I interview the ones that they have to go through several different application processes until I'm sold that this is something they really truly think they want. And then they come in for an in-person interview. And that lasts anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes. And I'm grilling them with up to 20 different scenarios and questions about their character. But then that following week, I try and facilitate the very situations that I pose to them. Without them knowing, I bring other people in and tell them, hey, I want you to facilitate this, okay? Or I may see something happening in practice and I'll go to that person that's applied and wants to be a captain and say, hey, I need you to go deal with this situation with these people. And see how they really, in a practical setting, right, are going to solve it. And so
do their actions align with their words?
Yeah. And I think that's what we're talking about with the 49ers. Like, your guy went down. Okay, the next one went down. The way you posed it, who's next?
Yeah.
Oh, let's see it.
Yeah.
Bring it. Don't sing it.
That's right. That's right. So when you've brought several programs, out of the depths of the winner's bracket, so to speak. Yeah. How does that function when you first come in to start working to turn a team around? Does your selecting of your leadership happen in the same manner early on as it does once you've been coaching that same team for a while?
No, that's a good question. First, I just become an observer and see who your natural leaders are. When players are in a situation like that where someone unknown is coming in, right? It's a new environment for me. It's not for them. So they're going to be psychologically, they're going to feel a whole lot more safety doing what they would normally do. And that's where the observation comes in. Let's see what their normal is.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's a senior and people are telling me, oh, well, she's kind of the voice of the team, I try and observe what that voice is. It might not be good.
Mm-hmm.
Might be something I need to rein back a little bit or reel in to a manner that is going to fit the cultural pieces that we need in place.
Well, what you're talking about is the difference between true leadership, the good leadership, and toxic leadership, because
Right.
that could be what the problem is to start with on a team that struggled. They could have great athletes, but not the right azimuth, not the right direction for where the team needs to go.
Yes. And that was kind of the case in the 2 previous teams I went into. Well, you could probably pinpoint it to every team that I've been with. In some aspect, it might not have been the players were the toxic leadership. It may have been the previous coach. And when you're you take kids or players of any age, really, and you put them into a toxic mixture and as a safety measure for themselves, you're going to get toxicity.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to have something to protect them. right? Psychologically, emotionally. And so they fall into some of the same habits, some of them do, or they just remove themselves altogether. And it's kind of the place that the Bentonville West was in when I got there. Not to speak to it too much out of respect for the people that were doing a good job there, that were trying to do a good job there. But the previous person that was in place, super toxic as a person, and that was causing a toxic relationship with people, players, kids, their families. And so the program dwindled down to about 18 kids. Now we're at 40. And it's just been a matter of, you ask the question, how do I change that when I come in? And I told you I observe things, but then you have to get things righted. You have to get things turned around. And the first part of that, though, if you were to ask me the first question we started with today, which was, what attributes are you going to follow? Right? Well, if I'm in their situation, previous coach is gone. I don't know this guy. Who is this? New assistant comes in. Who is this girl? I don't know this person. I don't feel safe. Feel like I'm being judged. Feel like I'm being observed. Right? What are they going to respond to? And so the very first thing I told this team, very first thing out of my mouth, other than thanking the administrators that helped me get into that position, was, you're going to be the best team in the state. So immediately, I haven't judged them. I haven't judged them one bit. I haven't passed any kind of assessment on their ability so far. I've told them I believe in them. In that one statement, I've told them I believe in them. And so that goes back to that first thing I told you. If you ask the kids, they want somebody that's going to listen to them, value them, right? So there it is. I've just answered that in one statement. They don't even have to question it. They know what I believe now, right? And so I think that part is so important. Let's go back to the 49ers. This third, fourth, eighth string quarterback comes in, right? At what point did anybody grab him in the week leading up and go, hey, if Purdy goes down, you're our guy. You can get it done. We're going to give you the reps to get it done, and everybody around you believes you're going to get it done. Did that happen? I don't know. I can't answer that question. But if your people don't believe that, and coming from, it doesn't matter if it's the coach or the captain or whomever. If I got 4 captains, all of them get hurt, then I got to believe, and I better have done a good enough job, and they better have done a good enough job selling to everybody else on the team that, okay, I'm the one. And everybody believe it wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. So that's what I think. That's why that is such. It's got to be, if you're going to be a leadership monster, right? Like you said, you people got to know that you believe in them.
Yeah. Well, and I think the other part of that too is you as a coach trying to develop all of your players into leaders.
Yep.
And you talked about just giving Josh Johnson the opportunity to be successful by giving him the reps. You as a coach putting all the players in a lot of different positions to be successful as a leader, giving them the ability and belief's not the right word, but the power to lead the others that they would normally be following, putting them in the position of saying, this person is the leader now. Now you follow him. And we did the same thing on the military side.
I was going to be my next question.
I felt it coming.
How you do it? How do you do it on that side?
So for us, we may run multiple drills of, an attack or a squad attack or something along those lines. For me, what I've done in the past is before the drill ever starts, give those younger enlisted guys that would typically be an E3 or E4, put them in position as a squad leader. Like you've been on a team for a while. This is what it's like to be a squad leader, and you're going to maneuver it. And it's more or less giving them that rep of going through the lead. And it does two things. For one, it gives them confidence that in the future, if that were to happen and you have a couple of guys go down, that you can step up because you've at least done it in practice once. Give them that rep to do it. The other thing it does, it gives them a different perspective. When their squad leader is yelling for them like, hey, I need to know, where you're at on ammo and water and, are you safe? Are you alive? You got any holes in you? That type thing. You're going down the line. They're yelling for that, and they may not understand how urgent or why it's so urgent until they're in that position. But once they're in that position, they get to see why things are happening as fast and why that demand for urgency is there. It will make them, when they go back to their normal position, be able to relay that faster, because now they've been over on that side. They know that the reason they're trying to get that information so they can get it sent up, because they've got a platoon leader or a captain that's yelling at them like, I need to know all this information like right now, so that they can make a decision, miles away to help facilitate their evacuation or to get some reinforcements to them. So I think that the long and short of it, it provides two roles. It gives them reps as leadership, and it shows that the others that this person can lead. And secondly, by them being in that leadership position, it gives them a different perspective. When their leader is demanding of them, they understand why.
Why? There's the key word. I'm so glad you came back to that. That is the key word. They know the why. Yeah. And they get an introspective look at what kind of leader they're going to be in that situation. And now they can begin to fill in gaps that they have, right? Gives them that.
Right. And that comes back to your players being the mental monster and asking them, what kind of leader do they want to follow? What are those attributes? And then following that up with, do you possess those attributes? Are you working on yourself with that?
Spot on. Yeah, absolutely. That's you said you'll follow these things. Okay, which one of them do you have? Yeah, that's a tough question to answer for them, because boy, you have to be real. And you have to be vulnerable and go, you know what? I don't have this one, this one, this one. That's what I like to. I don't know how much of Chris Kalinda's work you've followed. I think I pointed you in that direction, but not really described all that this guy does. He's mentoring me right now through a program that I'm in of his. But he has this brilliant set of 4 leadership archetypes. Okay, and each one is within itself a great leader. Now, I know you can find anywhere online, if you type in leadership archetypes, you can find 1,000,001 different quizzes, but you're also going to get 25, 30 different leadership archetypes. I love that it's just 4. Let's just keep it simple, right? If you can't explain it to a 3rd grader, you're not doing a good enough job. That's why I like 4. And each one is powerful in its own right, but that helps I have my players take that quiz and find out what kind of leader are you really. And then we look at their character traits and their personality traits and how that fits that archetype. And then I empower them. Okay, so within this archetype that you fit and the skills that you have, these are your leadership strengths, right? Now, let's start looking for gaps. They can start filling in, because you said you follow this over here, but you're this over here. So which of these do you think you need that's going to round you out? Right. And then that's kind of how we structure our leadership training. And then I have that leadership council that we have after I pose that question to them and they assess themselves and they find their weaknesses, then they pose that to the rest of the players. So there's their drill. Like you said, at a drill, you take your guys and you put them into a scenario where they're the leaders. So they get that every single week. My leadership council does. They're the one posing the question to their subordinates, right? Like, okay, what are you going to do? What's your strength? What's your weakness? So that we can begin building that and just like trickle down, right?
Thank you for joining us again on the Tribe Has Spoken podcast. Captain Alan Thompson and I continued our conversation on what it takes to be a mental monster, which is just an absolute beast of a leader. And the takeaways that we have were all based on one of the core arteries, if you will, of being a great leader, and that is belief in your people and showing them that you value them by believing in them. And the takeaways from this were that when you do that, when you truly believe in your people, you empower them to believe in themselves and to believe in everyone else around them. And you accomplish that through your processes and all of the trial and error, especially the failures. Give your people responsibility. Give them leadership. Let them get a taste of it, and let them get a taste of what it feels like to fall in their face as well. Failure is the great teacher. There's not a better lesson giver than a good dose of failure. And what we came away with from those processes and all the trial and error is that by believing in themselves and by believing in their team from top to bottom, when they know you as their leader believe in them, and they believe in themselves and they believe in everyone else, that belief, that is the adhesive element of a victorious leader and their organization and their respective culture. Catch the next episode where we're going to round out these 3 key elements of being a mental monster, a beast of a leader. Thank you again for joining us. Pray that your day is blessed and that your leadership has grown today.